I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Uh, yeah, so I interviewed four people this week, and it was basically because all of them were our students and midterms, and there's not enough time. But I was really lucky to have the opportunity to meet with four students, like four friends of mine, for 15 minutes on a Zoom meeting. And I basically talked to them about my idea, which is basically a platform where young students can find community service opportunities related to environmental education. And these opportunities are online. So basically, you can get in contact with environmental organizations who need volunteers to maybe translate documents or maybe to reach out to people. So yeah, that's my idea. So I talked to these four students, and most of them told me that their biggest challenge is that even though they are really interested in environmental education, there are not many opportunities for community service. And now that we are in this pandemic, it is even harder to find this kind of opportunities. And also that even though there are some opportunities out there, there's not like there's a lack of, let's say, a place. We need a place where we can find all these opportunities, like so that we don't have to research each one of these organizations and see if they have these kind of opportunities. So that's one of those are the two biggest challenges. And the goal will basically be for most of my friends to find at least one opportunity for community service online for the summer. And yeah, and to connect with at least one environmental organization.
Awesome, great, awesome, cool. Good job. So, props to you. I was like, let's give her a round of applause for finding people to do this even during midterms, because I know you guys are all busy. And so you guys are totally, the, how do I put this, the action takers of the group. So thank you for doing this for yourself. And I'm sure just like by going through this exercise, you learned how to find out more in a much more succinct way. 15-minute interviews, perfect. All right, next person, go up and share with me what's the biggest insight from this activity.
I guess that's me. But the thing that I kind of, it's not, I don't have an idea how I word this. It's like it's an idea, but like it's something just mostly that my friends and I complain about a lot, which is on social media. There's a lot of ads right now, and like that's not what we asked for. So like in the future or something like that, we wanted to build a social media app that is an ad based and like obviously money because like Facebook makes most of their money from ads and so does Google, but I feel like it really affects the users negatively. So it's just like a problem that a lot of my friends like all agree on a little bit. So I didn't want to interview them because it's like something that stemmed from it. So I interviewed someone else and they agree as well. And I guess the biggest insight that I learned from was if the world was to have an app like this, first of all, it would totally change how social media gets their money, and like how would that affect influencers and people that like literally what are they called, sponsor, like you get sponsored to make like these posts. But it's kind of like the whole thing of, I guess, Instagram removing the likes. It's like it would totally change how social media works, and we were just talking and debating about what the future would look like if social media wasn't ad based.
Right. Amazing. Jenny, that's a really huge problem, and that's a really big thing, because if social media's purpose is to stay connected and you're taking off the main revenue stream, then it's like, how are you going to compete with that revenue stream in a way that is in integrity with the users that you're having? So I think that's a very interesting problem to solve. So thanks for sharing that, and thanks for really bringing all that accumulated sort of like complaints into some solution place, potential solution place. A lot of companies begin that way, like they have some really really strong complaint, and then that's how they start. So thanks for doing that. I see you laughing, so I'm guessing that's resonating. All right, let's go for Jennifer. Sam.
Yeah, I can go. So I guess like as a recap for like my thing, I'm like currently taking a software engineering elective, and I guess like we have like a semester long project that we're working on. And like our team's goal is to try working on a web app or a website that would sort of like aggregate all of the events happening at the 5Cs like in one location. It's like right now, like we find that students have to check their email, Facebook, Instagram, and like all these other places to like find out info about what's going on campus. And I guess like before we had like physical poster boards where people would like plaster posters everywhere and try to like advertise at the dining halls, for example, but that's also like not possible because of the online classes. So a few weeks ago we had a focus group, but I interviewed one or two people like this week as well. And I guess like the main um, issues that have arisen is like the fact that you have to check so many places. So I guess like our main goal is just like make sure you like aggregate like everything like well enough so that we don't just become an extra platform. Like you don't want to have people like check their email, Facebook, Instagram, plus this other place as well. So sort of making sure that like you have everything on there. And then I guess another issue like someone like brought up is that like usually like they are more likely to RSVP to an event if they know that their friends are already going. So sort of what Facebook does where like it shows who has like RSVP to an event before to sort of like encourage people to sign up for things if they know like their friends and like other people are going. So trying to incorporate that like more social feature into this website is also a goal that we have.
Got it. Cool. And so, what was your biggest? So, I'm guessing that your biggest challenge from your students or your interviewees was that they didn't have enough clarity, or the decision making to go to an event is not as fast as what it might be, and the commitment to go to one, is that the main problem?
Yeah, I guess that's one of the main problems, just like finding everything, knowing that you're like aware of everything that's going on,
Okay.
plus RSVPing and like
Yeah.
like having a sense
All
of
the
who's going to be there.
mechanics that
Yeah.
incentivize that. It's
Mm-hmm.
very similar problem with Diana, a place where you need to find there's needs to be like sort of a like you need to pull in data into a platform to be able to kind of, what's it called, consolidate information. So it's more like if you automate that process, what might that look like, right? So that you're not manually doing that and you're actually pulling from all the data that's all over the web, or all over the 5C networks and stuff like that. So cool, awesome, great. So, welcome to part two of leading and creating leads and generating leads for startups. So, lead generation from last class is, we're continuing creating leads. Leads are the lifeblood of a business. So, congratulate yourselves and be really proud of yourselves for taking this first step. As finding out more information about leads is one of the hardest things when you first start out, especially if you're unconfident about your business or you're unconfident about your ideas. So congratulate yourselves for taking that first step. I think that is a sign of courage. It takes a bit of courage. It takes a bit of persistence. It takes a bit of being bold and asking people these questions and going deep. So you've passed that first test in terms of even entrepreneurial spirit, right? Like not knowing what kind of answers you're going to get, and you just have to go through it anyway. So I want you to feel super proud of yourselves for getting this assignment done. And with this, you have so many new options to move forward with. So congratulations. So today what we're going to be talking about is now what are we going to use this information for, right? So if you haven't met me before, I think most of you have met me, but some of you are watching this on replay. And so if you haven't met me before, I'm just going to give you a quick intro. And I'm basically a founder of Liberated Leadership Legacy and Transformation Program. I used to be at CMC 2010, was in digital marketing and demand generation in corporate, and then also did work in mobile apps, digital marketing globally for big companies and tech companies, authored books called You Only Live Once, Life in Business Innovation Style, which basically takes people through combining their purpose, their mission into a product, into an audience that they want to serve, and then creating a business that really is doing what they love and monetizing that. I also work in the field of quantum mechanics and quantum business energy, which is basically understanding how to align your motivation, your internal motivation, with your business so that you lose the least amount of energy when you're applying that strength and that force. We call this synchronistic wealth, which is basically wealth that comes from synchronicity, of being optimized with your energy. And we actually run summits, which is, we have one starting at the end of this month that showcase people who are also doing this in their businesses, creating 6, 7, 8 figures within a month, some of them even. So do a lot of this and did a lot of healing work between corporate and entrepreneurship, which is what brought me on this journey of combining both personal development, professional development, and also leadership development. Of course, applying a lot of analytics and digital marketing strategies towards it. So it's a very interdisciplinary topic. All right, so today, what we're going to be talking about is content marketing, also how you generate more leads at an automated level. We talked a little bit about how some of you have already, can see how you might reach a ceiling after spending all your time on it, on your project or your business, and you might not be growing further than how much time you have. Then how can you scale, or how can you actually create a system that can generate you leads so that even if you're sleeping, there's a potential for leads to generate themselves, or a potential for your system to generate those leads for you. And so how do we do that effectively? And that's what the interviews are for, because we needed that data in order for you to generate that more effectively. So before we continue into this, I wanted to share with you some of the recap from last class. So first of all, lead generation is all about understanding where your audience is, what you're selling, what kind of message you're sending them, and taking the leads through the funnel, right? We talked about that last class, and the top of the funnel being the unaware phase, and all the way down to understanding what their issues are, understanding what options they have, understanding what if they're willing to invest in it or not. So this was the image from last class that we talked about. So going from unaware all the way to lead, prospect, validated lead, and then customers. So at the interview stage, you can always invite them to another call, then share with them what your product is, which I know one of you has an actual product, and then telling others about that. Also, what we talked about last class is what leads are, how important it is to find out their biggest goal, biggest struggle, and different things. And then the next thing that we're doing is we touched upon marketing channels last week as well, and talking about how to look for your marketing channels. And one of the best ways to find that is finding out where the highest concentration of your people are, right? So whether that's a forum, whether that's a school, whether that is, a place, a group, a Facebook group online, maybe it's like a private group online. So where is the highest concentration of where your people are? And that's where you want to be showing up. And it gives you more bang for your time to show up. And then the next thing you want to consider is how do they want to be communicated the most? So that's what we're going to be going into a little bit as well. And then also by the end of today's session, what you'll be doing is you're going to be coming up with your first lead magnet. A lead magnet is also known as an opt-in, and there's a very specific way to do that so that you're not spinning your wheels and just doing it randomly and not getting any results from it, okay? So that would be very exciting. I know, Sam, I still want to hear from you as well. So we'll for the next part of the sharing, we'll have you share as well. So communication strategy is something we'll be talking about as well. Like now that we have our data, now that you know that, and even if you don't have your data as you're watching this on replay, what you can do is you can use the context, of our business as a way to think about this. You always want to be applying what we're teaching here in a practical context so that you can actually see how it would work in your life. Because remember, today's class can be applicable, 5, 10, 15 years from now, so that you just want to make sure that you understand the concept so that when you're in front of situations similar to this, you'll understand how to apply it. So communication strategy is basically how your main form of communication is with your audience, right? So right now in your next to your sheet of paper, or if you have a sheet of paper, or in the chat, do you have an idea of what your best guess is of how your audience likes to be communicated with? Is it through video? Is it through audio? Is it through written blogs? What are some of the ways in which you know that your audience is consuming information online or offline? So put it in the chat so we can check that out and see what our audience is actually, doing. All right, so we've got social media and email. Social media is that, can you be more specific which channels? And then Facebook groups, amazing. Is there any names of some of the Facebook groups that you already know exists, or it's mainly groups? Or is it just a general group? WhatsApp groups, okay, Diana, awesome. Right, so some people like even more personal connection on WhatsApp groups, right? And it also depends on your age group of the people that you're communicating with as well. Facebook groups and page relevant to debate Discord, debate Reddit. Yeah, see, this is even more specific because now you have like very, very, very specific niche channels for this. So, okay, any other ones on here? Great. Good. Okay, so moving on to, now that we know where they are, right? What does this help us understand? This helps us understand where to put our promotional items when we have something to share, right, with this group of people. So this is where the audience is. Imagine we talked about last week, right? Imagine like just antelopes running through a valley, a canyon, and this is where your audience is. You want to be standing right in the middle of this to share your offer, to share your value with this audience. And there's many, many different ways in which you can share your value. And here are some of the ways in which you can do that. So content marketing is one strategy to share that value. Online marketing is a huge topic, right? So in it, we also have paid, owned, and earned marketing, which is basically paid as ads, owned are blogs or things that you own, the channels that you own. Earned marketing are audiences that you build over time, right? So remember last week we talked about content marketing. It is not just putting out one post once in a blue moon. Content marketing, again, I really want you to understand that this is a relationship building activity. It's like making a friend. You're not going to say hi to them once and then forget about them until you have an offer and then invite them to buy your offer. It's a continuous relationship. People often mistake content marketing as, oh, I just put up one YouTube video. No, it's like literally you have to commit to a publishing schedule in order to show up as a consistent, trustworthy person that shows up over and over again talking about your same topic. We talked about search engine and marketing, right? So in the SEO, SEM section, once you finish your blog, you want to be promoting them in the channels that you just described. Maybe in the WhatsApp group, maybe in something else. Describing to them, hey, guess what? I just found a way to consolidate all the environmental jobs, and here are the top 5 environmental jobs for this year, and you can apply for them here or something like that, because one of the participants here today mentioned that that's your biggest challenge, right, for consolidation. Or you can find a platform that brings together all the people who are offering that kind of job. Then maybe your platform has all the job providers or the internship providers, or you're really just creating that community. It could be even a community aspect. And so once you have that, you can use search engines to write up about it, or a blog post to write up about it, which search engines can find, or you can use many different ways of many of these channels to promote what you've got. Now, email marketing strategy is once the lead becomes a lead, once the unaware person becomes a lead, you can use email marketing to continue that relationship. It's very similar to WhatsApp in a sense that you have the ability to communicate with people individually and personally. A lot of people think that email marketing doesn't work anymore, and maybe in this generation people use email less and less and less, but the purpose of it is to be able to show up often enough daily. Some people like a daily publishing schedule, some people like a monthly, some people like weekly, where you're actually communicating and offering value through email. So email marketing strategies oftentimes is relationship building, nurturing. So you oftentimes hear in digital marketing this concept called nurturing sequence, and it's basically a sequence that allows you to nurture the students or the target audience. Right. So for one of our classmates today, you have a debate coaching program. And so an email marketing strategy to cultivate that relationship with parents or students is really to share with people, okay, some of the insights from debate. And then also you can always invite them to refer you to their friends or just to engage them. It's creating community, and you're using email as a way to maintain that relationship. Facebook ads is another topic, right? And it's a huge way of being able to access your audience on demand. And in a way it's very similar, just like one of us that we mentioned earlier was saying, like, we really hate ads because it's really interrupting our experience in social media and stuff like that. So another way to look at ads is ads has a really good way of finding your people. So instead of going to the groups, instead of going to the places, once you have enough budget that you can spend on ads, you can actually go into people's lives and offer them valuable information. So imagine if you were to write something about, let me think about what your product was. Like about the ability to stay connected without, or being able to be connected without getting distracted by ads. Even that in itself, like kind of like a meta thing. You could create content around that, and you can use Facebook ads to promote that content, right? And so it doesn't have to be something that's intrusive. So the issue is not so much, this is my own perspective, right? The issue is not so much that the ads are annoying. It's more about the ads are irrelevant to what the person is experiencing as they're browsing through Facebook or Instagram. If you can make the ads relevant and value adding to that person's life, then you're positioning your product in a way that is service to the person and giving them a choice, so it's not so in their face, right? So it's a bit of understanding what the platform does and then using it in a way that is in integrity with your business. So that's another way to think about ads that allows you to feel less intrusive and less discouraged from using it. See it more as a vehicle rather than a offensive post that is super in your face, that like used car salesman type thing. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. All right. So these are some of the basic overviews of some of these channels that we talked about. The next thing I wanted to share with you is about content, creating content. So now that you know where your target audience is, you have a better idea of what you're using as an example or as a topic, as a group of audience to serve. It's easier now to actually create content for these people. Content is one of the ways in which you can automate and distribute your time so that you don't have to do these interviews on a daily basis when you're having a business, right? Because you want to constantly have leads be reading your stuff or leads be coming towards you. Imagine if you are using back the dating analogy from last class, right? We talked a lot about, okay, like lead generation is kind of like dating, but imagine you having to be on Tinder and swiping left, right, center like every single day, right? Like it's going to be super tiring and you're going to get bored of it. So if you can automate that process and have people constantly reach out to you, then it puts you in a position where you don't have to put in so much extra effort into it, and you're doing a lot of the work and you're optimizing that process. So content is one of the ways in which you can constantly be putting out value even though you are not physically spending that time right now. I have content that I put out about 2-3 years ago and they're still generating multiple hundreds of views like all the time, right? And so if I put a lead magnet there, then it can still bring in people who are interested in this topic and taking them a step further. So one of the benefits of creating content that actually is on a channel that is being used in a way that people are still watching stuff after it's being published many years later, that creates an asset for you. And this is called a marketing asset for your personal brand, right? And it's different from social media, because social media, after you create that content, it gets lost in your news feed, right? And then once it gets lost in your feed, your work is to really be on the hamster wheel of content creation, and you have to put new stuff out there. Whereas search engines such as blogs, search engine optimization techniques such as creating blogs or creating content that is there to stay, such as YouTube videos, or even podcasts, these are pieces of content that can have a higher longevity, right? And so as you're thinking about this, and if you want to optimize your time and you want to understand what audience actually wants, then it's important to pick a channel, in my opinion, that has higher longevity. Of course, you can use social media as a way to test your content to see, okay, maybe this content is exciting enough for people to like it, then now I can actually build it out and have a stronger article or a stronger piece of content that has a longer lasting life cycle. A lot of YouTube channels have videos that are 10 years old and they're still garnering views, right? And so if you can find ways to make your content relevant and time, there's the term called evergreen, so time, like inconsequential of the time or the year, maybe in 2030, maybe it could still be relevant. Then you can put that out there. It's kind of like writing a book, right? But in a smaller format, like 10-minute, 15-minute video. So the main point here is to understand that content creation can happen anytime. It has a higher life cycle in terms of longevity, and also you can start anytime. Even with the data that you have today, that's already enough for content. But importantly, content marketing is all about understanding where and what your audience responds to. So why YouTube, right? And what channels to create your content on. This is some of the important questions that you need to be asking when you start choosing it. Even hypothetically, right? Like what's some of the lead generation methods in this area that you might be choosing. So in the last class, we had someone ask like, oh, does organic traffic still work? Because organic traffic is basically traffic that you don't pay for. And short answer to that is that yes, it does. However, you need to play the game. It's a long game. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not an instant gratification. It is the long game of you constantly showing up. And you know how some YouTube channels, right? They put out a content piece, like the Bucket List family. I don't know if you know who they are. Has anyone heard of them? Yes? No? Bucket List family? Nope. What are some of the YouTubers that you guys watch? Anyone? No? No one wants to share it? Jenny?
I still watch Michelle Phan. She's like,
Oh, nice. She's a
yeah,
classic.
yeah, but I feel old whenever she is.
She's been around for a long time. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other YouTubers that you guys watch? Follow? No? Who do you follow? Um, do you follow blogs? Do you follow video? Like who do you follow? Diana?
I follow YouTube channels, like I'm subscribed to some YouTube channels that are basically about UX UI design or about entrepreneurship. They don't have like, I don't remember the specific name, but I remember what kind of content they provide. Like for example, when I am trying to learn something new on Figma, I go and watch a video that was uploaded, I don't know, 2 years ago on the UX UI design channel. So I agree with you that sometimes I watch videos that were like 5, 6 years ago and they're still relevant. Like there are still things that you can learn watching those videos.
Absolutely. All right. Now, Zach, do you watch any, like, how do you consume your content? Nope. Don't see. How about Sam? How do you consume content, Sam? Is
Yeah,
Sam
I've
here?
been trying.
Yeah.
For some reason, yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason, it's not coming to me. Like what content I'm trying to think about. But just in terms of you were saying daily, weekly, monthly information, and you brought up like newsletters and stuff. So like podcasts and newsletters. The only newsletter I think I'm subscribed to is Morning Brew, and then a couple of their other newsletters that they have that are subsets of
Yeah.
Morning Brew, which are daily. And then podcasts, uh, an example, Software Engineering Daily, or like, well, I won't listen to so many podcasts, but those mostly are weekly. That's sort of
Gotcha.
the um, classic
Awesome.
podcast.
So, can you already see that even in this group itself, we have so many different ways of consuming content and different channels that we're consuming content on, also different preferences in how we consume content. Alex just joined. How do you consume content, and what are some of the channels that you consume content on?
Hey, sorry I'm late. I was stuck in traffic trying to get back. But yeah, some of the ways I consume content, probably the most would be on YouTube currently. What was the second question? I know there was another one.
How do you consume content, and yeah, what are some of the? So, do you consume that weekly, or how do you? Are you searching on YouTube all the time whenever you have a question, or how does that work?
Probably daily, but it's kind of gotten to the point, where it just kind of knows what I'm looking for, and then the recommended section. And then I think that makes it me a lot more receptive to click on it and watch it, and just consume that content.
All right, cool. So Alex brought up a really good point. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, so Alex brought up a really good point, right? So once the algorithm can understand what you're looking for, it can recommend things to you. And that's what we're wanting to. As a content creator, we want to make sure that the content is optimized in a way that YouTube or any other channels are recommending your piece of content to people who are watching that similar thing. So you want to always be aware of where the trend is, and then somehow creating that content that is different or maybe in the same line but offers a higher value add in that sea of trend, right? In that trend of like what people are searching for. So as we can see, right, there's so many different people and different ways that we consume content. Some audio, podcast, video, different things. People use YouTube as a search engine to learn things, right? So when you're creating content on YouTube, you want to know, okay, am I someone who's teaching? Am I teaching them in an efficient way? Like, why would they come here and what are they going to get out of it? So if you are doing a topic around, let's say, environmental internships, right? And then it's talking about how to prepare for interviews for that, or where to find those, right? Those are all useful information so that you can teach people how to actually get the result that they're wanting. And what's important is also to know your own preference, right? So Sam talked about liking to consume newsletters. So that's very reading based, right? It's like written and reading. And so some people like to watch stuff, some people like to listen to stuff. So what is your personal preference in putting out information? Like, what are you most comfortable doing? Are you most comfortable presenting on a video, speaking into a microphone, or writing, or another form? So in the chats, please put down what is your preferred method of communication.
Do you mean communication like for the work that we were doing
For the work that you're doing
for this lead generation?
for lead generation, correct? Yes. And oftentimes it actually is similar to your personal preference as well. Okay, FB Messenger. All right. So text message, okay. Email, okay. Getting tagged in memes, email, okay. All right. Okay, so now the second question. If I were to tell you to create content right now for the next 5 minutes, or 10, like 5 minutes, what would you do? Like what kind of format would you pick it in? If we were to say audio, visual, video, written, like if I were to say it's text message, all that is like written, right? So like written, or some other format, because we have someone said memes, right? Would you be creating a meme to send out? So okay, so we have one video, podcast, audio or written. Others? Digital poster. Okay, so visual, awesome. Cool. Have anyone else? All right, so take note of this, right? Take note of what you've chosen and what comes most naturally to you. The first answer usually is the right one for you personally. So everyone has a different preference of how you feel, what you feel most comfortable, in what way you feel most comfortable in communicating. Let's say you're gonna do this on a weekly basis for a year, right? So I actually did a content creation challenge for 180 days straight, right? So I did a video a day on YouTube for 180 days. And it's like a 90-day challenge, and then I took a little break and I did another 90-day challenge. And what it did was that it created a system and a platform for me to show up and understand my audience better, and then iterate the content as I went, because your first content piece is not going to be as good as your 180th. Right now we're in like the 300 to 400 zone, depending on what's public and what's not. So actually I think the results anyway. So it's very important to understand what your content creation preference is as you're creating them for leads. And now the most important thing as you're creating content and as you're putting out consistent content is having a way to have them find the place in which you're collecting leads right now. Does that make sense? So once you have all this stuff out there in the internet, you want to have a way for them to come back to you. There's like the funnel needs to lead back to you, and then they can take the next step to become a lead. If you just create content and you don't have a way for them to connect with you, or a reason for them to connect with you, they're just consuming your content and you guys are different and you're separate. You're not connected. Does that make sense? And so what are some ways in which in your content you can invite them to connect with you? Give me some answers.
Like and subscribe and turn on the notifications.
But like and subscribe and turn on notification does not give me their contact, their lead, which is an email address or right? They're still separate and they're still isolated in a sense that they're liking and subscribing, but I don't know who they are. Okay, Diana?
So like,
maybe having like like email marketing strategy, where like you can, for example, have your YouTube channel and have some videos and say, okay, if you want to know more about this topic, I'm gonna be sending out some tips on how to do this or how to do that. You just have to like give me your email in the link. Like you can have like a Google form, and then like a short description of what exactly the tips are going to be about, or what are some of the information that you're going to be sharing, like top information, top secret information that only the people that are like in that, let's say, like list, let's say, like are going to be getting. Like it's information that you're not going to get just watching the videos.
All right. Yeah. Who thinks that's a good idea? Raise your hand. And if you are not on video, put the emoji. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I think we have a consensus here. Absolutely. So very important. If you want to optimize your lead generation strategy, every single time you put out a piece of content out there, you want to have a way to collect the leads. If you don't, then you're basically expending energy and it's going out and it won't come back. There's no boomerang effect. All right. And so you want to make it easy for people to come reach out to you. Otherwise, they're just going to go find someone else who is going to tell them, hey, like this is the way to contact me. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go create like that first thing that you're going to make it as, so that thing that you're going to introduce to them, if they're not exciting, if they're like, I don't really care about these tips, then they're not going to come sign up for it, right? And so one of the lead generation keys is understanding what's going to be so mouth-watering, so irresistible, that they just have so much curiosity about that they want to sign up for one thing. And it's more important to understand the psychology of that thing and the structure of that thing than actually creating. I mean, the thing itself is also important to know the conversion rate, like how many people actually land on the page, how many people actually sign up. So is the thing actually valuable to them or not? Or are they just like, whatever, right? And so one of the easiest ways to understand if that thing is, or to attract people to that thing, is your headline, copywriting, right? The benefit of what your thing is, and also understanding what the urgent problem that your clients are solving is. If they're having a huge challenge with one thing, which you've interviewed them, and if you haven't interviewed them yet, just think of the most urgent problem. You can use some of our data as well, the urgent problem. And when you can describe the solution or the potential of you solving that piece of problem in one sentence, and you say click here to receive that solution, it's actually going to be a lot more effective as a method of, I have some value that I'm going to share with you, and here is where you can get it, as opposed to like manipulating people into getting it, or being like, hey, look at these, just it's less sleazy, and it's more of a place of, hey, this is an informed piece of information that you can have moving forward. Okay, so let's go move into copywriting. Copywriting is a very important skill to have when you are doing generating leads from a perspective of written word, even in videos, right? Like that one sentence that describes what you're going to offer next is a way for you to practice that description of the benefit that the person's going to get if they join your email list, or if they join your community or your group. And it's very important to understand that your message, like we just mentioned, I'm just going to reiterate this, your message can either fall flat, or it can induce so much curiosity that people can't wait to give you their emails. So one of the ways to do that, so going back to the copywriting piece, there's some different ways in which you can approach copy, right? The copywriting is something that you can spend a lot of time on. And copywriting actually has the ability to inspire people to buy from something called a sales letter. So we're not going to go in so much depth, and the copywriters who write highly converting sales letters are actually, they can be very, very lucrative in terms of in terms of the service that they offer, right? Because if they have experience with that, and people know that if they write something that's specifically targeted in the emotional buying journey of the client, then the value of that piece increases dramatically, because you can actually have an ROI from what you write, right? And in order to do that, you need to understand the psychology of what the buyer or the customer is going through, so that you can actually attend to all of their unmet needs, conscious and unconscious, in that journey. But what we're going to do today is we're going to take the first step of that, and that is a headline. So when you're watching and you're searching YouTube, or you're searching Google, or you're searching Facebook, or you're searching anything, the first thing you see is that like one sentence headline, whether that's in a post description or whether that's in a title. And you also see the thumbnail, right? So thumbnail, if it's on YouTube, and then first section headline if it's on other platforms. So what are some of the ways in which we can write and approach headlines from? So there's many different ways which you can describe your content pieces. And so here, what I'm going to share with you, we have 4 slides of different ways of presenting your content in a format that describes the benefit of what people are going to receive as well as induce curiosity. They're called the mouth-watering bullet points. So I want you to quickly read through this. They're kind of extreme, but think of it as a way of think of it as dissecting the sentence structure of these bullet points rather than, just focus on that. So have a volunteer to read out, like different people read out different sections here. Go for it, Sam.
Okay, so I can just read the specifics. First one.
Yeah, go
3
for
ways
it.
to boost your sales by 52% in 2019.
Yeah. Next one. Someone else?
Um,
We're just going to read through them and then you can give me an analysis of why do you think it's good. Okay. Diana, you want to read one?
Sure, which one?
Pick one.
Let me see. I really like one to punch, the one that says the world needs your voice. Liberate your story with these easy tips. I think that it was the first one I read because it caught my attention. Like, the world needs your help. It's like, oh, I want to help the world.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so emotional journey. Okay. Alex?
Sure, I can do mechanism. So how the occlusive touch control system added on average of 29 yards to every drive. Yeah, I mean that one is like the one that I didn't really understand too much, so it kind of drew me towards it. But I was wondering if you could explain it a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know what the exclusive touch control system is, right? So this one is a lot about curiosity, inducing curiosity, right? And then it has a very specific result. It basically says that it added an average of 29 yards to every drive. It's very specific to golfers, right? And not just regular golfers, it's experienced golfers, involving 1,842 experienced golfers. So it's not just like a random golfer. It's literally sharing with you here this credibility added to it as well, because there's 1,842 experienced golfers, like data. So the mechanism here is the mechanism of this exclusive touch control system. And then there's like proof of like what it actually creates. So if you were an experienced golfer, which is who this is targeting, right? Would you be interested in this to find out more about this touch control system? Okay, we got a thumbs up. Yeah. So that's what it's inducing. So when you are writing your headlines, you can use very niche specific language that speaks directly to who you're targeting. And also the idea is to create curiosity, right? Like even what Diana was saying, the world needs your voice, liberate that. And you're like, oh gosh, like maybe that your person is driven by impact, driven by your by this idea of being able to express yourself, right? And so when you know who your audience is, it's easier. Now, Jenny, would you like to pick one to read?
I'll read the first one of 1-2 Punch, I guess. Proven data plan for SEO, blogging, social media, and link generation, all in just 1 hour a day or less. Make money in a few hours per week.
Okay, why do you think this one works?
I feel like it might work because it's very immediate. It's like very vigorous, if that's the right word. It's like there's immediate feedback. Make money in just a few hours. I don't know how it would work, but it sounds very like you have a plan every day and you execute it, and that's maybe why you keep yourself responsible.
Yeah. So you can tell here what the urgent problem is for these people. What do you think it is? Everyone can jump in as well. What do you feel is the most urgent problem that this particular 1-2 punch is solving?
I can jump in quickly. I feel like it solves the problem that it's just showing like you're making money really quickly, because I feel like when we see things about making money through SEO or social media, it's something that's a long-term process, and this is kind of saying, oh, you can do this really quickly.
Okay, so it's solving the problem of what are people complaining about? Anyone? I mean, you're pretty much on the dot of it. I'm just asking it in a different way. Okay, so it's solving the problem of time, right? So maybe all of these people are actually complaining about, I don't have time to do everything. I don't have time to do SEO, blogging, social media, LinkedIn. You can just imagine in the interviews, they're probably complaining about, I don't have time to do this. I don't know what to do every single day. And I don't want to do this, right? So it's really solving the urgent problem of, you know what? You can do all these 5 things and you can do it daily for less than 1 hour. And not only you can do it daily for less than 1 hour, but you can also use that to make money in a few hours per week, right? So it's like not only just telling you that yes, you can do that in less than 1 hour, but the 1-2 punch, the second punch is in the bracket, right? So on top of doing that, they also targeted the reason why people are doing this, and the reason is because they want to make money, right? So you're punching them with, first of all, you can do it in less than an hour a day, and then the second punch comes because you can also reiterate, you know what, the biggest goal that they have is they want to make money. So then make money in just a few hours per week, and then again the second punch here in a few hours per week, right? So it gives them the punch of the money and then a punch of the few hours per week. So in that small little sentence, they're basically calling out their audience. They know that the biggest problem that the audience is having is SEO, blogging, social media, and link generation. These are probably the top 4 things, maybe in a list of 20 things that their audience is looking for. And they probably are completely overwhelmed. That's why they say it's a daily plan, right? And it's proven because they probably want, because the audience probably are saying that they've been using a lot of different plans and they haven't been working. So they're like, okay, well then we have to find something that's a proven thing for the audience, right? So all in just 1 hour or less. Then it's like, okay, so first of all, you get this plan and also time, right? Because they're answering the thing about time, and then he does the 1-2 punch. Does that make sense? Yes? No? Somewhat? Okay. Why don't you pick out the second 1-2 punch and someone read that and see if we can understand the concept of the 1-2 punch sentence structure.
Yeah, I can read this one. How to expand your 5 senses so you can see everything happening around you all the time. It's like having eyes in the back of your head. This trick can save you enormous amount of danger and trouble and make you virtually unbeatable in any head-to-head fight.
How do you
Yeah,
to explain a little bit about what you see as the important first punch and the second punch and what the problem you're seeing this person solve.
yeah, I guess it's targeting people who might want to improve, like, I don't know, just like be more ready in case there was ever like a dangerous situation. So maybe like, I don't know, so like martial arts comes to mind or something like that, just trying to prepare people. It's also like sort of like not giving you too much info, so it might make people like curious to click and see like what exactly it is that this person would offer.
And so where's the first punch and where's the second punch?
So I guess the first punch would be the expanding your 5 senses. So yeah, like I'm not sure what that means. I guess I'd be curious to find out what that would look like. Um, and then the second one would be, oh, and once you've had like acquired this new skill, then like this is like you'll be so much more ready and like you'll be unbeatable. So it's sort of like making a promise based on like that first punch.
Yeah, yeah, you got it, Jen. Do you guys see how she analyzed that sentence? Yeah. So there's a balance, right? There's a balance between creating curiosity, Jen, just like you said, that you would be so curious, okay, what are these five senses that you're going to expand? And then it gives you an imagery, right? As well, if you go in and analyze this a little deeper, and it's just like, okay, it gives you so that you can see everything happening around you all the time. So probably the benefit of what people want is to see everything that's happening around them, or they're like, I can't see my opponent, and it's like having the eyes in the back of your head. So it gives you another imagery of seeing, okay, what is the potential benefit of this technique, this five sense expansion technique, or whatever it is that they're trying to sell. And then this trick can save you enormous amount of danger and trouble. Maybe they're complaining about they don't want to be in danger and trouble, right? And so that's why they added this into this piece, because it needs to emotionally connect with the people who are reading it. And it makes you virtually unbeatable in any head-to-head fight. Head-to-head fight might be something that, it's like the scenario in which they are wanting to be victorious in, right? And so in one sentence, they're able to capture both the curiosity, the two different promises, or the potential promises or potential benefits that you can be getting, and create enough curiosity so that you're actually going to be like, you know what, I'm going to click into this and see what this is about. Moving on, there's another one, straight benefit, action word benefit. Banish back pain in 10 minutes with a simple stretch you do by yourself at home without any equipment. What do you think this one is? Straight benefit, right? Back pain is the issue. 10 minutes is the time they want to do. They probably don't want to spend hours at a physio. And it's a simple stretch, so it saves you time, and you can do yourself at home without any equipment. Another, again, benefit, benefit, benefit. Are you guys starting to get the specificity and how intentional all these words are? Can you give me a emoji or a response in how you think about these? Like, is this helping you understand how to write headlines? Yes. Yeah. Okay, great. Catapult page rank 3 or higher with just a few days of effort using this little known and used technique. Achieve top rankings for some of your best terms in less than a week. Sink the winning putt or free throw. Amazing mental tricks. Make sure you never choke under pressure again. 17 muscle gain superfoods. Secret snacks fuel your energy and your muscle. Secret snacks that fuel your energy and muscle. Everything is super concise, extremely precise. Like, there's numbers, right? Like 10 minutes, page rank 3 or higher, winning putts, 17 muscle gain superfoods. Very strong, concrete number of solutions. Secondly, addressing their concerns that they might not want to try your product, right? So you can do the simple strats by yourself at home without any equipment. There's like 3 ways that they're already combating your objections of actually trying this out. Few days, right? Speed. Little known use technique. Like, this is like rarity. They're playing on the idea of this is a rare solution. Achieve top rankings. So again, appealing to competitiveness of the person. Maybe their audience is very competitive, and less than a week. Again, time. Sink that winning putt or free throw. Winning, right? Winning is a thing. Mental tricks. Amazing mental tricks. Don't choke under pressure. So that's the biggest pain point, right? That people are choking under pressure. So you'd never have to choke under pressure again. These are copywriting techniques and copywriting mindsets that you want to be having as you're writing the headlines for your lead magnet that's coming out of your content. Warning, you may already be making these 3 common mistakes that destroy your energy and your health on page 17. All right. Let's do one more, and then we'll do a quick roundup of I'm just thinking of one insight you got out of this, and then how you might be able to write your headline. Okay? So let's just read through these. Starting with Sam.
Perfect. So I can do the second warning one, I guess.
Yeah.
Common alpaca dangers. Avoid this deadly snack unknown. Unknowing owners. Yeah, unknowing owners willingly give their livestock with disastrous results.
Yeah. Any points you want to say about that to take note of?
Oh, this one. Well, yeah. Well, just one thing I've been taking note of is sort of the yellow column. It's like keywords, and those keywords also direct the rest of the message. Like if you're gonna say, um, it's like the warning ones are sort of advice. Advice is the value. Um, and other ones were sort of giving the value of their product, like short time, how you were saying, or easiest one. They're saying it's easy, so for people who don't know anything about it or something.
Okay, yeah. Your voice is a little soft, but I think I can catch most of it. All right. Okay, cool. So the easiest way, let's pick the middle one, and then someone just read that one, or any of them, actually.
Yeah, the quickest, easiest way to get front page search engine rankings for a brand new website, even without a single incoming link.
Yeah, so what do you want to point out from this sentence and this headline?
Yeah, I guess it ties back to what we've been talking about. These people trying to address like the issue of time, like it's like the quickest and easiest way to do it. Even without a single incoming link. So this might also be targeting people who are just starting out and like don't really have like a lot of like links like being directed to their websites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And also this might come from their interviews, right? Like people are like, I don't think I can do this because I don't even have a link, or it just started and I don't want to do this because it sounds really hard. Or people might be saying, I don't want to take action, and there might be some resistance and struggle in getting this started. And so this is a form of a benefit and a solution that can share the potential solution or the potential progress that they're going to be making, right? So that they can find people can find their websites easily and quickly. Okay, so now that we have all of this, what right in the chat right now, right? What might your content be? Just using the insight that you just got, write out one headline of what your topic could sound like in a format and a structure like this. You don't even have to write the content piece yet. Just write the headline. So in the chat, I want to hear from everyone, even if you're starting out with, just your best shot. Give me your best shot for one content piece that your audience might like. And if you don't have an audience that you want to work with, you can just use our audience. And our audience is basically leaders who are wanting to improve their personal and professional lives dramatically and their biggest challenge is that they don't have time, and but then they still want to break through some. Let's see, what is their biggest struggle? Find more meaning in their work. Let's just say that. So for those of you watching on replay, you can use that if you don't have one. And then if you do have one, write down one sentence, one headline. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do this. I know it's a bit challenging, so just do it anyway. And then we can start getting feedback from people around that. Sorry, my voice. All right, so I was gonna say, good job, everybody. We are gonna continuously improve these. These are great first stabs. And you can see already in the process of writing these out in the chats that it takes a couple of rounds to actually get the specific item that you're really wanting to communicate that actually creates that sensation of that person wanting to click. All right. So I want to have everyone share theirs and the revision process of them. So Jen, would you like to go first? Your first one and then your second one and then how you can improve it further.
Yeah, so the first one I had was a comprehensive roundup of this week's events. And then to make it a bit more specific and with a number, I said top 3 events at the 5 Cs this weekend. And I guess like there's definitely still room for improvement, but I'm also like wondering like when like a headline starts to be like too clickbaity, if that makes sense. It's really trying to get like a balance between like making people want to click it, but also like promising something that's like real, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you want to promise something that's real, right? So you have to deliver. That's in your delivery. So top 3 events in this at 5Cs this weekend for introverts, for example, right? Then it could be a really real solution that you're offering introverts. So maybe you can do 5Cs events this weekend for deep thinkers, right? Or for philosophy majors, you know? So it could be even more specific than that. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like the more specific you are, the more likely it is that you've met that claim that you're making.
Yeah, exactly. So, and also it's specific to your audience, right? So, if your audience is a general type of audience, or are you looking at all party goers, you know, what kind of events, right? So, it could be like top 3, like, you know, food related events at the 5Cs this weekend, which is very specific as well. That's also amazing social opportunity or something like that. Whatever people are um, you bring up a really good point about like balancing the clickbaitiness of it and also the headline. So you want to make sure you can deliver the result, but first, before you deliver the result, you want to think of the headline first. And you're like, okay, well, if people really want this, like what kind of solution am I going to be able to offer them? And if you can't offer that, then you have to just fix the headline in a way that is specific. So it's a balancing act of being able to deliver on your promise. Okay. All right, next person, let's do Zach. Your first one starting out with say less words, using less words to say more. Or is that what you first said? Yeah, go for it.
My first one was the easiest way to improve word efficiency over the summer at home. But I later revised that to learning to use less to say more. Yeah, which I'm still not sure if it's specific enough now because
Yeah, so for
yeah.
yours, if you're trying to teach people word efficiency techniques, then it might be like the top 5 tips to learn to use to have the top 5 word efficiency techniques to like why would they want to be more word efficient? Why?
Oh, there's a limited amount of speech time, so it's a competitive incentive to be as word efficient as possible.
Okay, so that you can win the competition, the debate, so that your debate arguments can be on time with the maximum results or whatever. What's the result that they're looking for to win it?
Yeah,
Make
I'd
the
say
point. What is
yeah.
the language that they use
Yeah, it would be to win.
to win, right? So the top 5 word efficient techniques that champion debaters use that help them present the argument in what is it, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? What's like a good time?
It's usually about 6 minutes.
6 minutes or less.
hmm
What do you think of that?
I'm trying to think. That could work, yeah. I'd be worried because and it's not necessarily clickbaity because you are delivering on it, but I worry that if you move towards something like that, it will sound clickbaity even if it's not. You know what I mean? When it's like top 5x champions use, I don't know. Yeah.
Or you can just say the person's name. You know, if there's like one specific person that uses
hmm
this all the time, you can just be like, that, you know, Tiger Woods uses to, whatever. So it can be more specific as well. So it's true. Like your goal here is to make a true claim that is in integrity with what you're offering, but also in a way that you're using word efficiency in your headlines to communicate all that message in one specific sentence. Does that make sense? Are you guys all seeing how you can also apply some of these ways of optimizing your headlines? Let's do Jenny, Alex, Sam. We're just gonna go, just quickly.
Sorry, I'm trying to find mine in the chat right now. Oh, here, re-envision your entire social media content without ads, all tailored for your experiences. And then you told me to add a number in there. So I feel like it's already kind of long. So I was gonna do like re-envision your entire social media content, 0 ads.
Yeah, I think your topic is a very idea an idea inducing one, right? So it's more of like a let me share with you some ideas on how you can start re-envisioning your social media content without ads. So your target market is people who are writing social media content or people who are consuming social media content. That's not very clear from this perspective.
It would be people that are consuming social media content that are tired of ads.
Okay, so it's really about re-envision your social, or it's more about how to consume, top ways to consume. Well, I'm just putting it out there. You can tell me like if this resonates with your audience. Like top ways to consume social media content without being frustrated with the ads, with invasive ads strategies or something like that, right? So top 5 ways to keep your social media experience clean, something like that. Does that help? Does that kind of drive that point home a little bit more?
A little bit, yeah. Personally, I would stray away from like the top 5 sort of wheel because
Okay.
like if this is like a startup per se, it's not like I give you 5 things separately. It's like a new platform per se.
Right. So we're looking at it from a lens of content right now. So content piece might be it would be useful for people to have like a certain number, as opposed to like a general idea. But if you were to use it as a mission statement, that would be different for sure.
I see the difference. Thank
Yeah,
you.
there's a difference because like one of them is like, hey, I'm going to give you some valuable content. I'm going to give you 5 valuable things. Whereas the other one is like, I'm going to give you an essay, potentially like a whole presentation on the re-envisioning of this situation. And so the time commitment is really important for the person who's consuming your content as well, right? Because if it's too long, they might not actually even click it at this time. They might be like, I'll come back to it when I have more time. And that might never happen. So it's important to. Does that help? Or are you still feeling like no? I kind of want to. There's like other ways in which you can kind of create that time container for them to understand that it's not going to take them too long to consume this piece of content or this solution.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because people. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's finish it off, guys.
I can go next. I didn't put my. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. I can go next. I didn't put anything in the chat yet, but I did do a couple different things I was just writing down, sort of changing word by word, little things.
Yeah.
So I started with saying instant risk pain relief in just 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But then there were some other things that I wanted to add. My final one that I went to was what I based off of the one that was about snacks. I thought I was trying to remember that one. So I said the best wrist brace, providing lasting pain relief in just 3 minutes. And I don't know. I can type that in, I guess, so
Yeah.
you
So
guys can
your
see it.
audience is dealing with wrist pain, and
Mhm.
then they want relief, okay? And then you've got the 3 minutes one. Um, okay, got it. And is that something that, so I'm not gonna, you know, look at the delivery and the promise of it. I'm looking more of it from a perspective of the headline itself. The best
Mhm.
wrist brace providing lasting pain relief in just 3 minutes. Okay. What do you guys think of this one?
I would almost swap it to make it catchier, like relieve your pain in just 3 minutes, something.
Okay.
Relieving, like wrist pain, 3 minute wrist pain relief. So that you
3 minute
don't
wrist.
have to something, or without something. Yeah. You could do a
Yeah.
1-2
Would
punch. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just making sure this is it was okay to use a product as my, like, this would be more like a reasons why this product is the best or something. Is sort of what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Is,
so
is
you want
that
to make
okay for sort
sure
of a
that
content line?
their pain points are being answered. So in here, I see two pain points being answered. One is lasting relief, right? And then there's the other one is a short time. You can go into this deeper, right? Because right now it looks very surface level just from this perspective, but you can also go into
Mhm.
deeper. Like, why do people want to have better wrists? And how chronic are wrists, kind of like that. And so how do I describe it? You can make it even more appealing if you were to say, like for example, certain amount of, like from my, like I'm just imagining like what this might look like for a person. So they wear the wrist and then they like do some exercises or something like that, and then in 3 minutes that can work. So you can even call it a technique or something like that. Like
Mhm.
the best sort of the best, or maybe the proven, that sentence where we had like 1,800 something golfers there, and there might be
Mhm.
a study that talks about this that you can also add in as well. Let me just pull that one out again here. The one around how this control system added an average of 29 yards to every drive in Colorado study involving these experienced golfers. You could say that how this, wrist guard added an average of, reducing wrist pain by 30% or whatever the study is.
Mhm.
With these like exercises involving, this many people, or involving like maybe it's like specifically for tennis players or something like that, because tennis players have wrist pain, or whoever, maybe there's like a certain athlete that has this experience. So you can make that more specific in that sense, that it would really call out to those people.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So again, when we're wrapping up this topic, it's not so much about who and what. It's really important about specifically speaking to the audience, but what I want you guys to get, and what I want you to get as you're writing this, right? This is one of the assignments for even the people on the replay. I want to see your sentences after this analysis of it, because this is actually what is going to create your first leads, right? This is your lead magnet. With this sentence, you're like, hey, like click here to enter your email below, and then I'll share that information with you, basically. And so what's important about this is understanding the sentence structure. How are you structuring your headline in a way that people are not going to just gloss over it? They're going to come in and be more curious about it. Of course, right? In your content, when you write the article about this, or when you create the video about this, or when you create the podcast about this, you can approach it from many different angles to make sure you deliver on your promise, right? So the idea of this is just to make sure that you're answering the question that they're having in their head, you're making it appealing, and you're also then using your best effort. Because I know a lot of you are like, I don't want it to be clickbaity. So obviously what you're going to produce and what you're going to give them is something that is of value to them, right? You're not going to be like, hey, even if it's clickbaity, if they join your email list and then they don't receive the product or they don't receive what they want, they're just gonna unsubscribe, right? They're not gonna. It's not gonna be like the end of the world thing. It's just gonna be unsubscribe. And also, it's better to have out of 1,000 people to go to your website to have 20% of people go through and get your content piece or your lead magnet versus no one clicking on it, right? So it's more important to understand what is the psychology of your target audience than it is to than anything. It's through testing, and people can test like thousands of these all the time, and just making sure like understanding what works and what doesn't, how psychology works. A lot of this is counterintuitive as well. It's not like a essay writing competition. This is very much so like psychology mixed with writing, mixed with like what motivates people to click, right? So you have to understand those elements as well when you're working on something that's called a lead magnet. So these are your first lead magnets. What do you think? Thumbs up. Yeah? You created your first titles for your first lead magnets. And this is just the first building block, right? The first time you're doing something like this. And you can literally put this online and even put this on a post or anything like that. And you can say, contact me and I can share that information with you. You can share that information in a call. You can share that information in an infographic. You can share that information in the podcast or even an article, right? So you can prepare that and then you can put that out there and then people can receive it when they give you their email address or their phone number or their text. So some other ways of doing lead magnets are some of the ways I'm going to show you now, which is, some of the ways that we're doing it is by events, right? So it's 3 secrets to your 2021 synchronistic wealth acceleration, business development, and client flow. Client attraction is one of the challenges that our clients are facing. And then we give them 3 different secrets and they click show me how. So for this one, right, out of 61 people who came, we did a really, really quick test. 21 people decided to sign up. So there's a 34.4% conversion rate, right? So this is just a workshop as a lead, right? As a lead magnet. So people can sign up to that one. And you see how simple it is? We actually tested so many websites and so many things. And it's actually really simple you don't even need that many words in order to induce action. In fact, we have results where we had like thousands of people come through and 0 clicks when we had too many messy things on it, and people actually got really confused and then they just clicked out of it instead of into it. How to access your highest self and wealth. Highest self is sort of like a term that people use when they're connected to in their meditation to flow, and wealth in 60 minutes without doubt. So we have a method that they can do that. We have an exercise during the event that actually creates that for them. And so we did the super quick test as well. So 33 people, we drove to this. We did a split test for this. So we basically drove a bunch of traffic into all of these different headlines and see which one actually tested better. And so 14 people, so about 42% of people clicked through this one. So this was the winner out of like all the tests that we did. And then we continued optimizing this version. So you can see already that what you can do with your headlines is you need to have data, run people through it and see how it actually performs. Now, Facebook ads. We're going to go through this really, 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 really quickly because I just want you to understand like how you can do this through Facebook ads as well. Facebook ads is an ad platform that Facebook has that allows your ads to show up on all of the places that Facebook has access to. And so similar to our funnel, so our funnel is going sideways now. In the previous in the previous class, we had a funnel that goes up to down. So now it's going sideways. Just imagine that funnel going up to down, but just to the right. So tofu is top of the funnel. Mofu is middle of the funnel. Bofu is bottom of the funnel. So bottom of the funnel is your customers. Middle of the funnel is your leads. And tofu is your cold audience, which is top of the funnel. So you have your headline right here. Let's see here. You have your headline right here, and then you have your description here, right? So in your promise, you can be promising something here, and then you can have your headlines and your description. So similarly, right? Like if you want to provide something that's actually useful to people, you want to know where they are. Are they already a customer? Are you encouraging a repeat purchase, or are you generating a lead, which is where we are right now, or cold audience? So if we're in cold audience, it doesn't really make sense to talk to them about the solution just yet. It might be something about, describing to them about the problem and like what you understand about it. So, and also give them a small solution. And then when you're starting to generate leads, this is where you put your opt-ins, right? Your places of where these headlines and these solutions are. And then when you're starting to acquire customers, that's when you're giving them the products and talking about the products. So as you can tell, like in Facebook ads, you're not going to get served this kind of ad if you had shown no interest in the cold stuff, or the stuff that's talking about your problem and your solution, the problem that you're solving and the solution you're offering, and just a regular like get to know me video or text or whatever. So you're going to get served the ad. So you can move people down the strangers, prospect, leads, customer, and loyal promoters funnel through understanding, okay, out of this percentage of people who watch this video, maybe if you watch 75% of this video, then I'm going to serve you this ad. And then if you're interested and you engage in this up to 75%, then I'll engage you with this ad. And then continuously, okay, if you bought the item, then I'm going to come to your ad again, and I'm going to share with you some other ways in which you can improve your life with that thing. So remember, when you're creating an ad, a way to create that ad with integrity is to continuously make sure that you're constantly offering value, right? And so maybe the lead magnet that really worked for you guys, is, I'm just going to pull one here, the best risk brace, right? So the best risk brace would either be, you could have it as the top of the lead, top of the funnel, and you can say, 5 risk braces that work really well for risk injuries or something like that. And then you can describe it in a video as an ad format, but it doesn't have to be selling any specific product. But if people are watching, let's say all 10 minutes of it, then you can upgrade them to the next ad, which then can describe about, okay, like what are some of the considerations when you're buying wrist braces, right? And then the next ad, you could be talking about, okay, why is this wrist brace better than the other wrist braces? And then on the next one, and then you can have like the call to action to actually buy that wrist brace. So you want to be able to bring people through a journey so that you are offering them information so that they can make a choice of whether or not they want to participate in your product or whatnot. Of course, again, speaking to their urgent points and their concerns. It's not about you. It's not about what you think is amazing about it. It's what the problem they want to solve, and it's from their interviews. That's why the interviews is important. It's not about how you view the product. It's about what their problems are. So you go back into your interviews, you look at the words that they're using, and then you're going to communicate with them in the words that are in their heads. Does that make sense? Because when you talk about it in your perspective, it might not resonate with them. And they want to be able to know that you are in their heads and you are empathizing with their words in the way that they're describing it with their priorities in lives. Makes sense? That's why the interviews are important. Okay, cool. So Facebook ads is a very interesting way to find that audience, because what Facebook has the ability to do is that Facebook has something called the pixel. I don't know if you guys have heard of that or not. Have you heard of that? Yes, no? No, yes? Yes? Okay, yes, one yes. Okay, a couple yeses. All right, so Facebook pixel is basically a code that gets attached to you as you're moving through the internet, and it sees your behavior and it understands, okay, what you like, what you don't like, what you're engaged with. This is like a very, very, very rudimentary, simple way of just explaining it. And so what you want to know about that from a content creator, from a business perspective, is that your audience Facebook can understand the likelihood of one particular person buying your product based on their past behaviors. And then what it can do is it understands when to serve. You've watched The Social Dilemma, right? It understands, yes, no, yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So it knows when to serve you these ads when you're most likely to buy. So if you are having a period cramp, for example, and it knows it's that time of the month for you, and you have a solution to have natural remedies for period cramps, and it might be able to identify where that person is, when that person is ready to buy, and then serving them the solution in the time that they most need it. So when it's used for good and when it's used for supportive reasons and when it's used for value, this is the potential and the opportunity it has. Of course, there's a lot of different marketers in the world, right? So you can choose if you want to be that supportive and that person that is there for them in their time of most need. Like they're staying up at night, they're having a migraine and they cannot, they cannot they cannot sleep, right? And like that's the time where if you have a migraine solution that can be served, that ad can be served during that time. And so what the pixel does is it's able to identify the behaviors of these people, identify when these people really need that the most, and then also give them the solution at the time. They call this just like they measure it through engagement, right? So measuring like that piece of content, that piece of ad, that piece of whatever at the time that they're most likely going to respond to. So use the Facebook pixels to your benefit and to your customers' benefit so that you can utilize something that's already inherently there. That's a very powerful thing, but use it for good. Because when you use it for good, then you can create and you can use it for your business and to help them solve the solutions that they're looking for. It's a different way of thinking about it. So don't think about it from a consumer perspective. Think about it from a business owner perspective. So when you think about it from a business owner perspective, then you are able to say, okay, how can I utilize this mechanism in order to make the world a better place, in order to create solve people's pain points. All right. Does that help shift the mindset of instead of feeling like you're being attacked by these ads, you're actually using it for for the good that the potentiality of like the good that it can create. Talk a little bit about that. Can we have like maybe two people reflect on that a little bit? Unmute yourselves. Tell me about what you think of Facebook ads and how you might be able to utilize this in your strategy if you were to utilize it.
I can jump in really quickly. I've used Facebook ads before a decent amount in the past. And it kind of like, I think if people haven't used Facebook ads, they just like search something and then they get a random ad for whatever they searched later and they think their phone's listening to them. But it's just like, because the ads, it knows which other people have looked at similar things and then also purchased what you just looked at. So it kind of just like, I guess just kind of touching on that point about the data, it just keeps track of who's done what. Um, and yeah, I think it's definitely a pretty powerful tool for generating leads and then converting them to sales.
Okay, got it. Awesome. And how do you feel? What has been your most effective strategy, and what have you been using it for?
I had a online business that I worked on for a while, and what I used it for was just based on whatever like niche market I was looking at. I would first put out ads and then test them and see like just compare the results of different ones against each other to figure out which like copy was the best. And then from there, once I collected or just targeting different like customer actions, like first starting like, okay, who viewed the page, and then from there like who's adding things to cart and then who's purchasing, and then using lookalike audiences on Facebook ads just to kind of increase and scale things up slowly over time.
Awesome. Cool. Great. So thanks for sharing, Zach. So as you can tell, right, there's a lot that goes into Facebook ad, and Facebook ads are actually like a huge just world. You can be a Facebook ad specialist. And so we actually have, for our apprenticeship program, we actually have one of the trainings on Facebook ads themselves, and also how to use Facebook ads to promote your own content related related products. How do I describe it? How to use Facebook ads to promote your content marketing, and then through content marketing create know, like, and trust elements with your audiences. And so that creates a more likelihood of customer conversion because you're building the relationship through the ad structure. So that's one of the strategies that we use. Everyone uses them for different reasons. E-commerce uses it completely differently than how a service provider would use it, and different product owners. So if you want the Facebook ad course that we had, where you literally get taken across, where we had a Facebook ad expert come into our team and teach us like specifically exactly what to click on and all that, you can go for it. Just put your email in the chat to me privately or on the chat, and I can send that to you. We have like a 5-part course on that, so that you can just have that whenever you need to create that ad. The ad dashboard, we can also go into that, but I don't want to overwhelm you guys. But basically, ad dashboard just shows you all the ads and then all the performances, and like what Zach was mentioning, you can then use the analytics to inform further iterations of your ads. Now, other than that, the way to scale leads is to optimize the lead magnet that you just had a taste of creating, and also optimizing the one-on-one conversations. So you can do this through networking, right? Like during networking, you can start being more cognizant about what people's pain points are, and can start sharing them with about what you do. You can do this through speaking engagements, and you can speak from, instead of one-on-one, like getting that person's 20-minute of time, you can speak to a large group of people, 100 people, 150 people, about your product. And that is also a very effective way of generating leads because it's one-to-many. And then also what you can do is you can run events, right? Events where there's a lot of people attending, and you can also be sharing your ads, your products with them. So when you're starting to think about scaling, you want to start thinking about how to reach more people in a time frame that is optimizing your time, so that you're leveraging your time. That 1 unit of your time can be reaching many people at the same time, right? So that includes speaking gigs, that includes creating summits, that includes one-to-many kind of sales. So if you're doing webinars, for example, that could be one of them. And you can start thinking about, when you realize like what in the one-on-one conversation works, then you can extract. So that's why it's really important to understand like what makes your clients click in the individual level first, and then that way you can scale. And when you save time, help more people. All right, so we're about to wrap up. To quickly summarize the things that we talked about, why don't you, all of you, give me, your biggest learnings from these last 2 weeks or even today, and how this can apply to your business building. And for those of you who are watching the replay, just write it down in the comments as well. Okay, so go for it and share with me the biggest insights that you've gotten, or what's the biggest learning that you can take with you. And then we'll also do a quick summary. So this is in the format of a summary of everything we learned together. Let's go with Jenny first.
I think I learned the most is the fact that ads are really important, and it's specifically with the pandemic, but also with like startups. When you have a small idea, you have to like think about truly what your customers want. I think today we talked about like what form of ads your customer really like appeals to the most, and like I never really thought about that before, because I was just like, oh, just throw an ad in them, but like how many words do they want? How visual do they want it to be? What flashy things can you throw at them to like immediately?
Awesome. You're a little bit cut off, so if you want to write that down in the chat just to summarize that a little bit, like that would be great. All right. So next person, anything about what's the most important thing you learned about leads, lead generation, or even marketing channels? Let's go with Alex.
Sure. In terms of lead generation, I thought how just going through the exercise of creating headlines was pretty useful. And just in terms of making it really specific instead of more general, just in order to get more people to click.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, we get more people to click, and then you can start building, and you can deliver it so that you can actually deliver on their result, and they're like, wow, like it really worked for me, and then you start building a relationship from there. All right, Jen, what was your biggest insight from content marketing, online strategy, earned media, SEO, any of those?
Yeah, I guess one of the biggest takeaways from these two workshops is that lead generation is like a long-term process that like sort of requires a lot of consistency, and that if you want to like build that trust and like eventually have those like customers or people who are interested in your idea, it's going to take a long time and like just have to put effort into putting a lot of content on there to build that audience.
Awesome. And then we have, let's see here. Sam, what would you say is the tactics? Like what tactics do you feel like would work for you the most, or what did you learn most about the different ways of generating leads?
I was just gonna say that I liked how we learned so much about um, how to be more efficient, like do little things that will save us a lot of time in the long run, and reach who we need to reach better. Um, so I was thinking about like how you said which social media group, like how I was, or just like which channels is the best, and then using that channel specifically, or like it could be YouTube or Facebook for different things. And then I also really liked the um, having different content for different customer segments, which was the last. It was the horizontal uh, funnel you showed us, and it's like what was it? It was like tofu, mofu, but it's basically like think about the people who how to turn the some person who's unaware into a fan, and the different steps and the different content that you can use to get at different groups, and all of that was really good.
Awesome. Yeah. So all of this work, right, is all integrated into your online marketing strategies. And we are having a couple of spaces left for our apprenticeship where we actually show you more the nuts and bolts of it. We're doing like lots of Facebook ad stuff, a lot of speaking gigs, a lot of summits, and a lot of different funnels. So if you actually want to learn like the details of that, feel free to. Is anyone interested in that at the moment? Still looking for summer internships or anything like that? Yes? Okay. Yeah. Just send our team an email. We can send some details to you. Or just send me your email here and we'll just get that to you straight like in the next couple of days or like say months, starting next week. And really what I want you to understand is that running a business is again like what you've already said, like it's all about lead generation and all about delivering products that people love and then continuously innovating and improving on your products, improving on your lead generation system, understanding your finances and really creating that cash flow for your business and then growing and managing your team, right? So there's a lot of elements to it. So when you can actually get one of them really fluid, then it's easier to build out the other aspects of your work as well. So it's been a super amazing time to just share all this knowledge with you. It's taken like a lot of years to really build out something that can work so fluidly together. And kudos on you for going through these different processes and to really understand the potential of your ideas and the potential of ways that you can reach audiences in a much larger way. So I just wanted to give everybody, a big shout out and a big huge acknowledgement for showing up in this world as the leaders of tomorrow, right? Our CMC motto, and being able to now go into the world and build upon these ideas on understanding customers more, providing more value and contribution to the world through your products, through your knowledge, and creating that level of interaction with and engagement with the people that you serve. Cool. Thank you so much. We have the forms there that Mika Lee just put in. And if you have any questions at all, just unmute yourself. I'm going to stand for another 5 minutes and you can ask any questions at all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah. And then if you want any information on our
So the first one was, so something you mentioned is going to the places where there are like the highest amount of people, right? Or highest amount of your consumer base, and that's kind of what I've been doing. So I mentioned a few places that I have been like advertising myself, I guess. But something to note is that those are also kind of like because they're high competition, right? So if you think of it like SEO, they're high competition and high yield, I guess. That there's high amount of people, but also high amount of competition. So something I've been considering is mechanisms that are lower competition. Which I guess brings me to my second question, which was like, or just the question in general, which is, I'm, uh, I guess the tension between targeting parents versus targeting students with the high school coaching, and like, I guess any advice you have on that, because I think it's more common, and what I've done so far is more student focused, but it seems like there's much broader reach to involve parents, but it seems more difficult to reach them because they're not as directly involved in the cold sense. But yeah, I just wanted to hear any thoughts you had.
Have you thought about targeting schools?
I work with two schools currently. I've found that schools tend to not be the best. I'm not sure. That's for a couple of reasons. I think generally they're not as lucrative. Like the amount that schools pay tends to be lower than what parents are willing to pay.
I'm
And
thinking
then
more about like targeting schools to ask them to introduce you to their parents. Like
uh,
targeting like debate team captains.
yeah, that's an interesting. So it would be if they don't have if they have a coach, they would be very unwilling to do it unless I'm already the coach for the team. Because yeah, typically schools are very hostile to private coaching environments when they already have a coach because it's a conflicting force. Like the coach doesn't like outside coaches who might contradict what they were saying. But on teams that don't have a coach, it's a lot more open. But those people tend to be more exchanged from typical debate um, forums. So there's kind of this like inner circle of debate people who are incredibly active, and you can reach them on those forums, like the Facebook groups. They're already in those sorts of circles, right? And those are kind of like low quantity but high competition and very invested in debate and very easy like to. They also know their options. They know that like, and not to say that I want to find people who don't know their options, but I want to find people who don't even really know about private coaching yet, and introduce it to them. But yeah, I guess it's like an idea, but I'm not sure how to go about doing that.
Yeah. So what I would recommend is to talk to all of them. Actually, talk to the schools, talk to the parents, talk to the debate.
Hmm.
I mean, just use networking as one of the ways of which you can expand that. I mean, first of all, like
Okay.
you already said that you don't have enough time because like you're already maxed out.
Yeah.
So also think about the purpose of you doing this because it's in contradiction of your time availability, right? And
Right.
so it's like finding out what your priority is. Is your priority right now systematizing your business a little bit better because then you have more time to actually do this? How are you going to do that? Or is it just
Mm.
like growing and eating into? So like that's like one aspect of it. And then the second aspect, if you do want to grow the lead generations piece, then understanding like how you're going to do this, how you can actually um, who like just making your name more known in the community, right?
Hmm.
And how you can do that, and which parents are the ones who you do want to speak to, what kind of students you do want to have. Maybe you want to do like maybe you want to up level your coaching to increase the prices for like even more champions, something like that. I don't
Hmm.
know how this hierarchy of competition works in the debate world, um, but there's an
Yeah, that was
element
kind of
of
that was definitely my previous model was just increase the price, improve my prestige, improve my ability as a single income earner to work as a contractor. That was definitely what I was doing up to this point. Yeah,
but that
but I
also
think
has a limit, right? You
yeah,
can't obviously
exactly.
can't charge like $1 million for like a client, or maybe you can, but then you would have to be looking at not high school anymore. Maybe it's like,
Hmm.
it's like I don't know, like something that's worth that, right?
Right.
You might have to play a higher game, right?
Hmm.
So it's really about understanding like what market you want to dominate, and also is this like a long term, short term thing for you? If you're
Hmm.
doing this, how long are you going to do it for, like what's the purpose of
Right.
doing it, and then like really prioritizing what's most effective for you, your time, and the results you're looking for. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps. And that's always the thing. Like I've been thinking about it because I don't necessarily want to do debate out of college. It's kind of been a stopgap thing for me, which is why I've sort of been okay with the contractor experience. It just seems like I don't know, like it would be the best place to start and like learn a lot of the more like business owner type things. Because especially because I'm learning things like I'm attending all these different workshops and learning things, and it seems like a easy way to apply those because I'm already an expert in the industry and I'm very involved, right? As opposed to like starting in a new industry.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, use it as a platform, as a sandbox for all the things that you're learning. I think that could be
mhm,
like you could the purpose for your project or your business is more of a landing ground to apply everything, and that could be the shift of your purpose. And then once you find the next thing that your career wants to really grow in, then you can focus your energies in that. So you may not need to put the pressure on yourself for generating leads for now. Maybe that could also be an option, right? So or it's a different it's there's a different like purpose for everything. And so if that purpose has shifted, then that could be it. Maybe it's finding yeah, maybe it is lead generation. And then if that is the case, then maybe it's about like mimicking the situation where when you're in a company or when you're running a business and you're running out of time, and then how do you deal with that? And so that could be the exercise that you're applying this to, and using that scenario as your as understanding how you can approach that when you reach that level of bottleneck in the future.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so contextualizing it in different scenarios so that your purpose is aligned with the actions that you're taking within your business.
Alrighty, thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, cool. So really glad to have you here. Yeah, we'll send you some details around stuff, and yeah, thanks for being.
Yeah, I saw a little bit on the CIE fellow thing. I know that YH put out like an ad there as well.
Yeah. So we can talk more about that. But yeah, thanks for watching the replay, guys. Who are at home, send in all your answers on what your headline is, your details about the data you collected, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, bye, guys.